Hey, Wired to Fish fans, you know, one of the biggest things that you have to consider when you're fishing a football jig or a finesse jig or whatever it might be is trailers. You know, trailers to me are way more important than people give them credit for. There's so many different kinds these days. I mean, you know, one of my favorite and standby trailers is just a good old super chunk. I mean, a super chunk makes a phenomenal trailer. It's natural looking, you know, looks like a crawfish. Looks like a brim. You know, the thing about it is, like I said earlier, when you talk about catching fish on a jig, you want to determine, you know, color as to what the fish are feeding on. Well, when it comes to trailers, it's the same deal. I want that trailer to make that jig look as much like whatever the forage the fish are feeding on. But a super chunk junior is really hard to beat because it does take on the shape of so many different things. Whether you're fishing it on the bottom, it looks like a crawfish. If you're swimming the bait up off the bottom, it's got that rounded profile like a brim would have. But there's so many different kinds of trailers that you really need to experiment. There's been a lot of days when, you know, I pick a jig up and I throw it with a particular trailer and I don't get bit, and I start messing with trailer combinations and things start happening. One of the biggest instances that I can remember is a couple years ago. We're fishing Lake Amistad, and fish are absolutely queer for Senkos down there. I don't know what it is, but they love a Senko. And for some reason, I could not get bit on a jig, and I pick a Senko type, you know, mag finesse worm, a mag trick worm, and I throw it just on a Texas rig, and I get bit immediately. So I'm sitting there thinking, man, I'd really rather catch these fish on a jig than a Texas rig. So I started using a mag finesse worm and a mag trick worm as a jig trailer. I'm telling you right now, it is unbelievable how much difference that makes. I literally picked up a jig with a brush hog, threw it out there 8 or 10 times, never got a bite, picked a jig up with the mag finesse worm as a trailer, threw it out there, and they toted it off before it got to the bottom. So play with trailers, everything from, you know, brush hogs, baby brush hogs, super chunk juniors, and you know, twin tails. That's probably one of the best trailers you can put on a jig, and I think it gets overlooked by a lot of people. It's a small profile, but it does a great job. So whenever you're getting ready to combination your jig, get a trailer put on it, make sure you try a lot of different trailers, especially if you're not getting bit.
The next generation of performance is here. Royal Purple's new high-performance street motor oil, HPS. Fortified with zinc phosphorus anti-wear protection, HPS exceeds the demands of high-performance and modified engines. Magnified, HPS improves metal surfaces for longer engine life. HPS's high film strength frees up more power, reduces heat and wear, plus provides greater protection. The next generation of performance is here with HPS from Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms.